So in today's video, we're going to be talking about GSA Schedule and why it's important in today's, landscape and government contracts. We're today here with Sarah.
Hi, Yoel.
Hi, Sarah. Good to see you again.
Yeah,
and we're just going to walk through. Yeah, thank you. And we're going to talk through why is it important to have a GSA schedule, what it actually does, and how you could utilize it right now in the government space, right? As you've obviously heard, Sarah, the government has given some importance to the GSA schedule and what it does, and obviously with every administration, things change. So before we dive deep into what this actually is and how to utilize it, do you want to walk people through what exactly is a GSA schedule and how it's used?
Yeah, so the GSA schedule is a pretty powerful tool for businesses aiming to engage with federal agencies. Basically, the GSA schedule, or you might hear it called GSA MAS, it's a long-term government-wide contract, federal government-wide contract that allows businesses to sell products or services directly to the federal, different agencies at pre-negotiated prices, terms with conditions, things like that. So you're not having to do them every single solicitation. So it's basically a streamlined procurement vehicle that helps simplify the buying process for government entities and for vendors.
All right, Sarah. So now that people have an idea of what it is, what kind of products and services are actually available under the GSA schedule?
Okay, so the GSA schedule covers a massive range of goods and services. There's over 30 large categories and hundreds of subcategories. So if you think about something that a federal agency might need, it can probably be purchased through the GSA, although maybe not specifically. There is a lot of dependencies. But the big high demand categories are IT and cybersecurity. So that's managed software, services, development, cybersecurity, cloud migrations, things like that. Then there's professional services. That's project management, financial consulting, staffing solutions. There's facilities and management that does go through GSA. That's, operations, maintenance, janitorial, landscaping, repair. There's construction and engineering. So design, build, DBB, material supply, inspection support. Then there's actual products, like office products, office furniture, everything that you can imagine, paper, chairs, right? There's also training and education. That's a big one. Both virtual and in-person training can go through the GSA. And then there's also things like medical and lab supplies. It's a big one that the GSA procures for federal agencies and the VA. So a lot of supplies are coming through the GSA.
Gotcha. So essentially, no matter what industry you're in, there's probably a chance that you can find a fit in the GSA.
Yeah. Tech company, staffing agency, construction firm, the GSA schedule has a lane for you. And with the increasing push to put more on the GSA schedule, if you want to do government contracting, it's probably a good idea for you to start looking into the GSA, see if you can get on the GSA schedule, and then figure out what the key is really align your offerings with the right, what we call SINs, SINs. They're called special item numbers, so that you can show the government how your company meets the needs of the government. And they put you in the right little box, kind of, if that makes sense.
Okay, great, Sarah. So what are some of the benefits of this procurement process? Obviously, I think the big one is streamline, right?
Yeah. So traditional government contracting, where they put out a proposal and then you have to write a whole RFP to it, and those things can be huge, they can be complex, it can be time consuming, you have different volumes, pricing, all these things. It can also be lengthy for the government as well as for the vendors. With the GSA schedule, a lot of those things are removed. So agencies can purchase either directly from your catalog, they don't have to issue a solicitation, they don't have to ask for a request for quote, or they might still put out a solicitation, but it's much reduced because they already know a lot of your past performance. You've basically already been approved by the government to work for the government. So that can sort of accelerate the procurement cycle, and you can close deals faster and start delivering products sooner.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I think one of the things that is important about this, for pipeline building and stuff like that, and visibility, right? Can you talk to us a little bit more about how the GSA schedule enhances a company's visibility and credibility with the government?
Yeah. So your company being on the GSA schedule means that the government has approved you, right? So you're going to be listed in the GSA e-library or on GSA Advantage. So federal buyers use those to find vendors all the time. So you kind of have some exposure there. So basically, you've been vetted, right? You have this layer of credibility. A lot of times clients will put GSA schedule, GSA approved, things like that, on their capability statements, on their web pages and things, because it means that you're reliable and that you can meet federal standards.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Yeah, I mean that's a huge benefit.
Well, and
Yeah.
business and credibility, double good.
Yep. Absolutely. So then, like, for like, we were discussing this off camera, right, about how this is really important for like long-term contracts, right? So how does this play into that? How does this help you get long-term contracts with the government?
So you could potentially be with the GSA on that contract for up to 20 years. So, there's basically a 5-year base period and 3 potential 5-year extension options. So once you're on, as long as nothing changes, like, like your SIN doesn't get canceled or something, and remember the SIN's the number that you're sort of fitting into that box, then, you kind of have this relationship that's open with the government for as much as 20 years, right? As long as you keep doing your paperwork appropriately. And the government does prefer to work with vendors that they know and trust. So it's kind of like it's a promise of recurring business, unless you mess up.
Don't gotcha. Yeah, that's the rule of thumb with the government is don't mess up. Yeah. And does the GSA schedule limit you to like just federal agencies, or are there other markets that you can go after?
Okay, that's a good question, because for a long time I thought it was just federal. But it is actually the GSA schedule. A lot of state and local governments will join cooperative purchasing programs, and they will actually get in a cooperative purchasing program that funnels the GSA. So your products or your services can reach an audience of both, like what we call SLED, the state, local education market, as well as the federal. So that visibility that you're having is not just for federal vendors, but it can be for literally like almost all government contracting.
Gotcha.
And I
no,
see
for
that
sure.
increasing with the more that we want to put products and service procurement on the states, to do a lot of their own work. That's a big push we've been seeing the last 100 days with the new administration, is this idea that like the states are going to be doing more. They're going to be taking care of their own emergencies and things like that. I expect that the GSA schedule will become particularly important to states, because they just don't have the structure already in place like the GSA does. So I anticipate that for multiple reasons that the GSA is going to be much more important in the next coming many years.
Yeah, no, especially coming into like hurricane season now that we're about to get into. So yeah, it is important that the state has
We're in Florida, so I heard hurricane season.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then the other thing that, a lot of people are wondering is like, like obviously right now, a lot of small businesses are hurting with some of the changes that are happening, right? So how does the GSA help small businesses?
Yeah. So most people on the GSA schedule are small businesses. Approximately like 80%, I think, of GSA schedule contractors are small businesses. And the GSA still does set aside programs in socioeconomic categories. So the GSA is highly relevant to small businesses because, once you're in as a small business with the GSA, the little bit more easier recurring work is probably
Sure.
actually really good for you. Yeah. Giving you a fair chance to succeed in the federal marketplace, I think.
Yep. And I think that, I guess, a follow-up question that a small business might have is, right, like, okay, I want to get into the GSA. What do I need to do to qualify for that?
Okay, that's a really good question. So there is some very specific requirements. You have to already be an established financially stable company, and you have to have a proven record of past performance. Although I will tell you that that's the case for most government contracting, unless they're really in a lurch, and they're looking for something that is really rare or something that you can provide. You're going to need to be financially stable and prove that you have past performance. With the GSA specifically, you have to have been in business at least 2 years. So you cannot be a startup. You have to have some sort of operational history. They especially if you're doing products, but that you have sold those to non-government clients. Public sector clients, they like to see 3 to 5 contracts as evidence of that. So you are going to have 3 to 5 past performances to even consider getting on the GSA. And the GSA doesn't wiggle. They'll just tell you no. Then they're going to also ask you for your financials to make sure that you're both financially solvent and stable, and that you can handle the demands of the federal contract that that may come your way. And then you're going to have to disclose your commercial pricing, and you are going to have to offer the government what they're going to call your best rate. So you're going to have to offer the government a discount from your commercial pricing. So pricing becomes a really big part of getting on the GSA schedule. And then, you still have to be compliant. So you need to have a unique, enterprise identifying number, UEI number. You need to be registered in SAM.gov. You have to be following all federal procurement regulations, Buy America, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, so would you say that like so kind of to put that into summary, right? Is it more of like a semi-mature company are the companies that are trying to apply for like a GSA schedule, right? Not just somebody who has like a year or 2 years of experience.
Well, I think there are a lot of companies that go in with just 2 years of experience, but there's not a lot of companies that are like, I just started my company 2 years ago, but we haven't really done anything. Maybe I'm running my company, but I'm still really doing another job because my company hasn't taken off. You're not getting on a GSA schedule like that. You're not going to get on your GSA schedule, if you think that you're going to be like, well, yeah, I want to start a company, but I don't actually want to. I'm not actually like doing the work. I'm just subcontracting it out, and I haven't done any of that yet. Like, it's not that kind of a government contracting. No, I'm not sure that there's really a lot of that kind of government contracting. I mean, you hear about it a lot, but it's
for sure
like a unicorn. It's really for companies that have really gotten started. Now, you could get started in government contracting. It doesn't have to just be commercial. Like if you just only did government contracts and you've been subcontracting, but subcontracting really is commercial, right? So like if you were a tech company and you were doing something and let's say you subcontracted on a contract for Leidos, right? Like Leidos is a public sector company, even though you are working a government contract, right? So it's not like you have to have only existed in the public sector without government work, but you have to have done something. You have to, yeah. And like I said, five would be better than 3. 5 is always best. But if you have 3 and you've been open 2 years, you could look into it for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. The reason I say that is I just want people to be wary of like, people online saying, yeah, pay us X amount of dollars and we'll get you on the GSA schedule as soon as you start your company. And it's like, that's not how it goes.
Yes. And there are those people out there, and those people are
terrible.
They're unethical.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. All right. And then obviously we've had some recent developments. Like we spoke at the beginning of the video, right? The government's kind of doing some changes and they're trying to focus this a little bit differently than it was before. So can you talk us through that, Sarah? Like what are the recent developments that we've seen in the GSA?
Yeah. So as of March of 2025, since I don't know how this video is going to last on here, I won't just say March, but I'll say March of 2025. There was an executive order signed that talked about consolidating procurement processing, obviously aiming to eliminate duplicate contracts and be more efficient. They definitely mentioned increasing and moving everything possible over to the GSA schedule. I don't know how much that will actually happen, but we will see an increased reliance on GSA schedules. So it is the time. Like if you have been like, maybe I want to be on a GSA schedule, but I'm not really sure, and you think that you could get on a GSA schedule, I would say that is time to secure your spot. But simultaneously, because there is so much change in the federal government right now, and we're not really sure exactly what that sort of increased reliance on the GSA schedule is going to look like, I would say stay agile and adapt to those potential changes in procurement policies. But once you're on the GSA, they will help you stay agile, right? Like, so, and I believe like last week I heard that they canceled a bunch of SINs. So there's been several of our clients that are like, we need to add a different SIN. So it's actually maybe a good time because they already sort of did the first round of like of weirdness there. So they're not going to let you in on something that they're going to cancel right now, right?
Got it. No, that's perfect. Yeah, no, I think that it's a good way to start looking at like if you're not on it, it might be a good time to start because if it starts moving everything over, like you said, I mean, you're going to be left behind, and that's not good.
To get on the GSA schedule too. It's not like you fill out the paperwork today and tomorrow you're on the schedule, right? For one, it's going to take you a significant amount of time to fill out all the paperwork and get all the supporting documents that you need. And that's something that we help people with. So I can tell you that can take a couple of weeks. And then you submit it, and then you have to wait to hear back, and then they'll have changes, and they're probably going to want to negotiate their prices. So there's this whole back and forth process that continues to happen. And just like any sort of government contracting, depends on how many GSA schedules did that contracting officer in that particular area just get, right? How slammed are they? So it can sometimes take a couple of months.
Yeah, no, for sure. So like, let's say somebody is listening on this call, one of our clients or, potential people out there who wants to work with us, right? And they're like, hey, I want to reach out to SAS-GPS and have you guys help me set up, and get approved for the GSA. What do you think they should have before coming to you so that it's makes sense and not just like, like the company who just started a month ago, like, hey, I want to get on the GSA schedule. And you're like, sorry, we can't help you.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess, one, make sure that you're registered in SAM.gov. Again, follow the thing, like check yourself off the boxes of the things we just talked about. Have you been in business 2 years? Do you have 3 to 5 contracts that would show that do you have the documents that you're financially stable? Start gathering those documents that would show you're financially stable. If you don't know what those documents are, that's okay. But, commercial price lists, financial statements, past performance references, things like that are the things you're going to need to get. Look into your NAICS codes. Look into those SINs. You can go to the GSA website. All of the information is there. You can contact me, and I will refer you to the proper GSA website if you need to. I'm happy to help with that. But you'll kind of want to match your offerings. Like, let's say, here's what I offer. Where does it fit, right? And then, probably if you're overwhelmed just by that process, then you probably should contact a company like SAS-GPS, or there are several companies that are reputable that help people get on the GSA schedules. And then, help prepare your offer. And then you will also need to get on basically the kind of the GSA portal, which I think they call e-offer, where you can make sure that, that you're ready. You can upload all your documents, complete your proposal. And some of the GSA software, of the things that you have to put in, it is, I don't know how to say it nicely. It's the worst software I've ever seen in my life. That's the nicest way I can put it. I often make jokes that I think that the GSAs should put out a contract just for somebody to redo their own software.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's time consuming. So I really do encourage people, unless you just happen to be one of those lucky business owners who happens to not be that busy. I don't know who you are. But if you're out there, maybe you could do it yourself, but probably you're going to need to find some help.
Gotcha.
A lot of paperwork.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
A lot of paperwork. Like if you thought a regular government bid was like a lot, this one's more. Double.
Fun.
No, it is. It's fun. But you only do it once, and then you make sure that you kind of stay on it, you renew, and that's 20 years. So it's a lot, right? But is it as much as doing 50 proposals? No. Right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Maybe.
Then Sarah, a follow-up question on that. So let's say you are approved, but you want to go after new SINs. Is that also a whole new procedure from zero, or how does that work?
It's not from zero. You don't have to prove your financial stability and all of that. You just have to go in, and then you do an application to, get a new special item number and prove, again, through your pricing and all of that. You do have to go through that section of it again.
Okay, and that we could also help with people who want to add SINs to their company. Yes.
Yeah, I've got 3 clients we're doing it for right now.
Nice. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
awesome.
If you need something with the GSA that we can't help you with, we do have several reputable companies that we refer people to.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, always want to help, right? So, if we're not going to be able to help you, we're not going to just be like, yeah, pay us. That's not how we roll.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. I want small businesses to succeed. And so that's we don't mind sending you an email with the reference.
For sure. 100%. Awesome. All right, my friend. Well, I think that's pretty clear. We'll see how it develops over the next, the rest of the year in 2025. We might be making a video about this in 3 months and saying something different. Who knows? Right. But again, it's from what I've heard from you today, and from talking to the team, I think this is a good strategy for small businesses and large businesses to get on, because who doesn't want more contracts? That's the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
And who doesn't want a continuous streamline of the government, sending you money? So why not?
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here and join you today and being able to give these people great advice about the GSA schedule. All
right, well, Sarah, thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy, my friend. There's a bunch of videos that we're putting out. We're going to be putting out even more content over the coming months. There's a video that I'll link here somewhere on the screen, probably on the top right corner, that talks about what we expect to see and how to win government contracts in 2025. It's a whole 40-minute video that Sarah and I walk through, just going to the fine details of everything, which I think you guys will all enjoy. Sarah, I know you're busy, so I'll let you go. But if there's anything that you would leave, the audience with, we always tell them, right, is make sure that you're compliant, make sure that you can, you follow the regulations that the government gives you, and then we're always here to help, right? Sarah is open to talking to you all day long, as long as it's during business hours, right? We want to make sure that you guys succeed and you guys win. So, Sarah, is there anything that you kind of want to leave the audience with?
No, just thank you for watching. Thanks for having me, Yoel. And if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. And good luck in growing your business in the government space.
See you guys soon.